Hi everybody, I'm the Drink Pro, and today we're drinking Larceny Barrel Proof A120. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. It's Kyle the Drink Pro here, back again with another review. This time we're drinking Larceny Barrel Proof. Now this has been a hot commodity. People have been looking for this Larceny for a while, and it's really being sought after. It's a wonderful thing that the bourbon world is now embracing barrel-proof whiskeys. A lot of brands that hadn't done them before are starting to do them. Bullet Bourbon, for example, is now doing barrel picks at barrel strength, which is something they never did before. So it's really cool that now the bourbon community has exploded. The distilleries are catching up and doing interesting releases. Now, Larceny had interesting releases in the past, but they were very limited runs. There were a couple of years where they were doing, I think, distillery-only releases of barrel-proof whiskey. And a couple of friends were generous enough to let me taste the barrel-proof, I think it was 2017 and 2018. They were really fantastic. They were really interesting. I have had a pour of this. I won't tell you what I thought about it, but I wanted to open it before this review because I wanted to aerate the whiskey a little bit. This is a barrel-proof product. It's at 123.2 proof. It's 61.6% alcohol. That's something that needs to breathe typically, especially when you're looking at a price point for a barrel-proof whiskey as low as this one. I believe I got this for $60. I know I've seen it as low as $40 in some places that I wish I was living in. And I've seen it higher significantly on the secondary market because there is so much hype around it. Now, a lot of people have had Larceny before. Larceny is a relatively common whiskey you're going to see on the shelves. It's going to look a lot like this, but it won't have all of this black. It'll all be more that color down there. And it won't say barrel proof, obviously. I have seen store picks of Larceny as well. Some are pretty solid. But as a general rule, Larceny is not a highly sought after whiskey. So to make a barrel proof version of it might seem like an odd choice for some, but there's a good reason to do so. First off, Larceny is a wheated bourbon. Now, wheated bourbons that I've talked about before tend to be smoother than your average bourbon, and they're also very sought-after brands. The Pappies are wheated bourbons. Several BTAC whiskeys, the William LaRue Weller in the Weller line are wheated bourbons. Wheated bourbons are a hot commodity. So it makes a lot of sense to release a barrel-strength wheated bourbon when you're wanting to expand your brand. There was originally talk of pricing this at $100. I believe that had some ire from the bourbon community because the standard Larceny is probably in the $20, $30 range. So to have the barrel proof be so much more expensive seemed really wrong to people. By comparison, your Elijah Craig barrel proof is about 2 to 3 times as expensive as a standard issue Elijah Craig small batch bottle. And so that was more of the pricing that would be expected from Larceny. And in fact, they acquiesced. This bottle, like I said, was $60. A standard issue Larceny is probably 2 to 3 times less than that. So let's go ahead and nose this whiskey. I'm getting a lot of peanut on the nose, very peanutty. And a sweetness. It's not a caramel like a peanut brittle or a toffee. You know what it's like? It's like honey covered peanut, like honey roasted peanuts. Sweet honey and peanuts. And maybe it's psychosomatic, but I'm also maybe even getting a little saltiness. When you're smelling a whiskey, sometimes you need a place for the ethanol to escape, particularly with barrel-proof whiskeys. So if you open your mouth just a little bit, you can open up new notes. With my mouth closed, I basically get sweet peanuts. But if I open my mouth, I might get some different notes. And I do. The peanut flavor becomes more rounded, and I also get a little bit of fruit. I actually get some banana on the nose of this. The sugar becomes a little bit more complex. I almost get like a toffee note, which I wasn't getting before. Maybe some cherry skins, which is a weird note. But it doesn't have any of the sweetness of the cherry. It just has sort of like almost like a fruit leather component. There's definitely some grain on the nose too. So let's give this a taste. Whoa. Wow, it's very forward. You know, it is barrel proof, but you're kind of hit in the face with that wheat. It's very wheaty. Sharp, sweet, and wheaty. Okay. I'm getting a little honey on the taste as well. Like a honey oat bread, but it's honey wheat bread. Honey wheat Cheerios? I don't know. It's not nearly as hot as I would expect from something at 62%. The earthiness and the nuttiness in the mid palate are wonderful. And the sweetness kind of lingers throughout. That wheat, honey wheat sweetness is throughout the taste. It starts in the beginning, it lingers to the mid palate as the wood comes through. And then here at the finish we have that peppery woodiness. You start to get that honey dissipate a little bit. It kind of creeps down. There's not a lot else going on, honestly. I mean, it's interesting and it's tasty to a point, but you have to like these notes. You have to like the nuttiness. You have to like the wheat flavor, not just the softness of a wheated whiskey. It really tastes like wheat. The evolution into the woodiness in the barrel is pretty prominent and something you can't avoid, so you have to enjoy that change. This is definitely a divisive whiskey. This is not a whiskey for everyone. Bloop, bloop. Whoa, okay. First off, on the nose is totally different with a couple drops of water. It's like granola. Straight granola. Ooh. I don't like what the water does to the taste, though. It sharpens all those sharp edges. The bitterness of the barrel becomes sharper. The wheat kind of falls to the wayside, although the nose becomes straight granola. You don't really taste it on the palate, or the honey for that matter. And there's a weird bitter aftertaste. It's like a barrel tannin, but it's stronger and more prominent. I don't really like what happens to this thing with some water in it. I think the Larceny Barrel Proof is worth the money if you like the Larceny line. It's got very classic Larceny flavors. It's not as good as the single barrel Larceny Barrel Proof whiskeys from the past, but it's good for what it is. I don't think I would buy it again at $60, probably not even at $50, just because it's not my palate preference. The complexity is interesting, but it's not the kind of complexity I really like to chase. It's got a lot of bitter heat in the mid palate and the finish. There is a hint of chocolate, I suppose, but it's not enough to keep me coming back. And the sweetness really doesn't evolve into anything interesting. I tend to like the fruitier whiskeys, so it's just not doing it for me. But I definitely could see people who would really enjoy this. If you like the Larceny lineup, it's definitely worth a buy. If you don't know if you like the Larceny lineup, go find a bottle of the standard issue Larceny, because it's relatively easy to find and it'll be a really good comparison point. If you like regular Larceny, you'll like the Larceny Barrel Proof. It's just taking all those notes and turning them up to 11. Well, I finished my glass, so I can't do the cheers, but I'm going to go grab another pour, and in the meantime, you keep drinking like a professional. Cheers.